Welcome everyone to another video. We are nearing the end of our journey through every single Friday the 13th comic book. This week, we're talking about Friday the 13th Badlands, a 2-issue miniseries written by Ron Marz with art by Mike Huddleston. The series follows 2 separate groups of characters in 2 separate times. One group is set in what seems to be the 1800s or something. They're not clear on exactly when it takes place. We just know it takes place a couple hundred years before the present day. And the other group, their story takes place in 2007, I think, which is when this series dropped. It doesn't take long to realize that these 2 groups, the events that are happening to them, mirror each other. They're both going through very similar story events and story beats because there seems to be some kind of mysterious connection between these 2 groups of characters, even though so many years have passed between them. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it and see what's going on. We begin in an unknown point in the past where we meet 3 characters: Ben, Ethan, and Joseph. They are trappers who have gone out hunting. They're stuck in the snow trying to find a place for refuge, and while they're wandering through the woods, they find a tent in the middle of the woods. Smoke is coming out of the tent, so they believe that there must be somebody in there and that it might be a place for them to stay. Ben suggests driving them out, but Ethan suggests that maybe they try seeing who's there and seeing if they can peacefully exist with them. So we're already getting these kind of dynamics where Ben is immediately deciding to go straight to violence, while Ethan is more of the responsible and non-violent type. Joseph, well, we'll get to Joseph. Ben enters the tent where he finds a woman breastfeeding her child. They are just chilling in this tent, and this guy has intruded, and he draws out his knife. We get a bit of a fake out where you think that he is going to attack her and the baby, but then it cuts to them eating fish together, and he's using the knife to eat the fish. So we're kind of like, oh, is Ben a terrible dude? No, he just wants to have some food and company with this woman. They don't really make friends with her though. She kind of just exists in the tent with them. But all's good right now. Everyone's just chilling in this tent eating fish. In the present day, 3 friends are wandering through the woods because they're on vacation, they're stuck in the snow, and they come across a cabin in the middle of the woods. Pretty standard start for any kind of horror movie. They wander over to the cabin, they realize it's locked, and decide to break into the cabin. This is when we're introduced to all 3 of the characters' names. We got Jeremy, who is in the green coat, Philip, who is in the brown coat, and Diane, who is the blonde in the red jumper. And she kind of gives off that vibe of, I'm the girl that hangs with the guys. She enters the cabin and one of the first things she says is, my tits are about to freeze off. The dialogue between these characters is very Friday the 13th. I rock. Let there be light and tuna fish. So they're eating fish as well. We're already seeing these parallels. Ben and company found the tent in the middle of the woods. These characters found the cabin in the middle of the woods. Ben and company were eating fish. These characters have cans of tuna. Jeremy is the first to question exactly where they are. He turns to Diane and is like, what do you think this place is? And she says that it was probably a summer camp where they sent kids. And Philip's pretty open-minded about this place. It's like, yeah, it seems like this could be a cool adventure. We're all in here together, we're safe inside this cabin. Little do they know that the cabin they are in is situated in Camp Crystal Lake. They just don't know it's Camp Crystal Lake because snow just happened to cover the sign that would have told them where they were. I assume at this point, Camp Crystal Lake is known well enough that these three characters, had they have seen the sign, probably wouldn't have gone into this cabin. I'm guessing they know the curse of Jason Voorhees and the history behind the camp. We flash back to the past where they're still eating fish and cracks begin to show in the group when Ben starts to show his true colors. He hates this woman and her baby because she just keeps staring at him, and then he decides that because he is a male with primal instincts, that he is just going to have her way with her. He says some absolutely detestable things. You know, she ain't half bad looking for a godless savage, I mean. That ain't what we're here for, Ben. I thought we were here so we don't goddamn freeze to death out in the woods. Other than that, I don't see much problem if I dip my wick to pass the time anyways. She'd probably like it. They all do. It's absolutely disgusting. And Ethan tries to reason with him. He's like, Ben, I said no trouble. I said, you best be taking your hand off my arm, boy, or by God, I'll be taking that hand off your wrist. At this point, you're wondering, there's no way Ben could get any lower than this. Right? Wrong. He walks over to the woman, and the first thing he does is he grabs her baby and pulls him away from her and holds the baby in the air by the arm, which is just horrible. He continues to spout horrible dialogue. We don't need your brat getting in the way. Maybe I'll give him a little brother. Joseph, get the hell over here and take this kid so I can get my business done. Joseph shows that he's just as bad as Ben. Where he's like, yeah, I'll take the kid from you as long as you promise me and that I get to have my way with her as well. So they both plan on having sex with this woman against her own will. Ben grabs her and she resists and scratches him in the face, and so Ben calls out to Joseph to help him hold her down. Joseph's like, but you said I was supposed to hold the baby. Drop the fucking baby. It's an insane thing to say to somebody. So Joseph passes the baby on to Ethan, and the two men have their way with her. It's awful. They just both attack her at the same time and force themselves onto her. And from the sidelines, Ethan just looks disgusted. But there's not really anything he can do. Because Ben is a towering man, and if he tries to stop him, who knows what Ben would do to him. It's one of those really unfortunate situations. Ethan is in a powerless situation. He's just got to protect that baby. In the present, it's revealed that Diane and Jeremy have a thing, which isn't very surprising. Jeremy comes to her at night and they decide to have sex. They're keeping it a secret from Phil though, so either there's some love triangle going on, or Diane's afraid that it's going to ruin their friendship. You know, Phil probably doesn't want to be a third wheel, but unfortunately, that's what he is. They strip and have sex while Phil is asleep. That's nice. That is so nice. Worth getting caught in a blizzard. Shh, no noise, remember? And while they're doing it, Diane looks out the window and she sees Jason looking at them through the window. And she screams, because of course you would. If you saw a guy wearing a hockey mask standing outside your window, that's not something that you're expecting to see, especially while you're having sex. That's a real mood killer. Emphasis on killer. And this freaks Jeremy out because you're never expecting a woman to scream while you're having sex with her. That's usually a bad sign. He's like, oh, what the hell? What's going on? I thought you said that we were going to be quiet, but now you're screaming? What's going on, Diane? I saw a man looking at us through the window. All the screaming wakes up Phil, and he does not look happy about this whole situation. He's like, yeah, why don't the two of you just keep having sex? Like, have fun. Do whatever you want. He's like, I'm gonna go tend the fire. Do whatever you want. We cut back to Ben, Joseph, and Ethan. Ben's having a smoke, and Ethan is disgusted. He's like, you can have a smoke after what you just did to that woman? Okay, I fucked. Now I'm gonna smoke. After that, I'm gonna sleep. Perfect night, you ask me. I can't believe Ron Mars actually succeeded in writing a Friday the 13th character as if they were from the 1800s. Like, Ben acts exactly like a modern day Friday the 13th character would back whenever this takes place. Somebody who only cares about smoking, having sex, all that stuff. Joseph sees the woman reaching under a blanket and thinks that she's going for a weapon, so he straight up shoots her. Yep, that's what happens. He shoots the woman and kills her and her baby. Like, what the hell? What? I was not expecting it to take this much of a drastic turn so suddenly. And obviously, Ethan freaks out. He's like, you killed a defenseless woman and her baby. What in God's name is wrong with you? But I didn't mean she was reaching for something. I thought she was maybe planning to attack us. With this, you slaughtered a woman because she was trying to give her baby a rattle. And then Ben looks to the entrance of the tent and is like, fuck me. Because the husband of the wife has returned. He left the tent to go and get some fish, and he's returned to find both his wife and his son dead, with these 3 guys around her dead body, so it's obvious that they killed her. So immediately, you just feel terrible for this guy, and understandably, he goes straight at Ethan, which is ironic because Ethan wasn't the one responsible for what happened, but this guy assumes, I guess, that Ethan was a part of it or was responsible. And then Ben shoots the guy in the face, and the guy just like runs out of the tent crying. You just feel awful for this guy. His wife and baby have just been killed. He's trying to get revenge. He's trying to attack the guys that killed them, and then he gets shot in the face. Then Ben suggests that they go after him to finish him off, because they're afraid that he's going to go get help or something. I don't know. They seem to be the only people in the middle of the woods. Why can't they just leave this guy alone now? Why do they have to go after him and kill him? It doesn't seem like they need to. I guess Ben is just bloodthirsty. We see a parallel shot of both groups asking each other, what are they gonna do now? Because the group in the past are dealing with this guy who has gotten away from them and has a fucked up face, and then the group in the present has just seen Jason Voorhees. And then the next page shows us Jason Voorhees in the present preparing to kill these 3 characters, and then we see the guy in the past who got shot in the face preparing to kill Ben and company. And so his messed up face is supposed to mirror Jason's messed up face. The only difference is he's not wearing a mask. Honestly, in this panel, he looks scarier than Jason does. Jason just looks like a big dude holding a knife. This guy looks deranged. He's got some real Two-Face vibes going on. In hysteria, Joseph mumbles that they are in a bad place. This is a bad place. In the present day, Phil is stoking the fire. Diane comes over to him and tries to apologize for what's happened between her and Jeremy, because it's revealed that Phil had feelings for Diane for a very long time. She was always his crush, and so it's crushing for him to see who I'm assuming is his best friend. I'm assuming Jeremy is probably his best friend, so seeing his best friend with his lifelong crush is crushing for him. It's just really messy and not a good idea. I don't know what Diane and Jeremy were thinking when they did this. You just shouldn't do this kind of stuff. If you know that one of your closest friends has a crush on you, you don't go and sleep with his best friend, because that's not going to help. That's going to cause problems. Like, guaranteed. What, did they think that Phil might be okay with it? It's a dicey situation no matter how you look at it. And the apology doesn't work. Phil wants nothing to do with Diane and Jeremy, and he decides that he's gonna go out into the snow and have some time by himself. He's like, I want nothing to do with you two. I need to be alone. I'm going out into the snow. Jeremy tries to stop him, and Phil turns to him. He's like, Jeremy, fuck you. Don't wait up. And then he leaves. And Diane's just like, how could you let him leave, Jeremy? Jeremy's like, what the hell was I gonna do? I tried to stop him. He was set on leaving Diane. So Diane hands Jeremy his coat and is like, well, you're gonna go out into the snow and you're gonna get him. Alright? You're gonna bring him back. And then for some reason, while Jeremy is leaving, she just says, Phil's not a bad guy. Just, you know, I don't think of him that way. Be careful. And it's a very weird time for her to say that, because the conversation has moved away from her feelings for Phil, and now it's just go after Phil and make sure he's okay and he doesn't hurt himself. Like, none of the dialogue leads directly into what she says here. It's such a random thing she says. It's just like, go. Go? What do you mean go? Go find him and bring him back here, or I'll do it. One or the other. Take it easy, I'll go. He can't have gotten far. I'll find him before the snow feels in his tracks. Phil's not a bad guy, just, you know, I don't think of him that way. Be careful. Like, see what I mean? Like, it just doesn't fit. It's like, just this random part where she mentions that she doesn't have feelings for Phil, she just thinks he's a good guy. Jeremy heads out into the woods in search of Phil, and he walks straight into Jason Voorhees. The first thing he says to Jason isn't, and run away. Now, he looks at Jason in the eye, and he says, who the fuck are you supposed to be? And then Jason, I guess, gets offended by that and cuts Jeremy's head off. Clean. In the past, Joseph continues to freak out, murmuring, bad place, bad place, bad place, bad place, over and over again until he finally freaks out and is like, we have to get out of here, we have to leave. And Ben doesn't want to leave, he just wants to chill and smoke. And so Joseph leaves the tent and runs out into the snow by himself. Ethan wants Ben to come with him, but Ben refuses to go with him, just tells Ethan to go by himself. And this is where Ethan starts to stand up to Ben a little bit more. He basically tells Ben, if you don't come with me to find Joseph, I will kill you. And Ben's like, you won't. You didn't have the stones to stop me doing what I did to that woman. You won't do it now. Besides, you need me to save you from the big bad Indian. And Ethan just leaves him there and is like, I hope you die. Ben kind of laughs to himself as he continues smoking until an axe cuts through the tent behind him, grabs him by his hair. It's the husband who has returned. He pulls Ben out of the tent, raises the axe into the air. Ben screams out. He's like, no! And the husband swings the axe directly into Ben's head and then pulls the axe out, and we get some exposed brain and a lot of blood as Ben is slaughtered. He finally got what he deserved. In the present, Diane thinks that Jeremy has returned, but it turns out that it's Phil, because off-panel, Phil found Jeremy's body, so he's come back to the cabin. He's like, holy shit, Diane, Jeremy's dead. I found his body. Somebody's trying to kill us. It's probably the guy that was looking at you through the window. So what we gotta do is we gotta board up the house and we gotta try and survive. And Diane is trying to apologize to him still, and Phil's just like, I don't give a shit anymore. You could have had sex with everybody in Philadelphia and I still wouldn't have given a shit, because right now I just want to live. So grab the furniture, board up the place, grab a weapon, like any kind of thing you can find to use as a weapon. And before he can finish his sentence, a ski pole crashes through the door where he's standing and stabs straight through his head, killing him. So Phil is now dead. Jason starts to open the door, which causes Phil's body to fall onto the floor, but Diane is like, no! And quickly slams into the door to stop him from getting in. But he's Jason Voorhees, so he just swings the door open anyway, which sends her flying backwards, and he comes at her with his machete. In the past, Ethan calls out for Joseph. he sees a silhouette near a tree, and he walks over to it and finds Joseph dead on the tree with a tree branch stabbing straight through his chest. So Joseph was killed by the husband off panel. Which is unfortunate because it's always disappointing when you're reading a horror comic book or watching a horror movie and someone dies off screen or off panel. Like, you want to see it happen. It turns out Joseph isn't actually dead yet. He has a couple words to say to Ethan before he truly passes on. Just a classic horror trope of the person not being quite dead yet. Wasn't us. It was the place. Something wrong with this place. But it's too late now. Never get away. Too late. And that's when Ethan realizes that they're on cursed land. But as he realizes this, the husband returns with his hatchet and he attacks Ethan, cutting off his ear. So Ethan falls onto the ground. He tries to shoot the husband with his gun, but misses and hits a nearby tree. Defends himself from a hatchet swing with his gun and smacks the husband in the face with it, and then quickly makes his getaway. But the husband grabs him by his pant leg, causing him to fall over. And while Ethan is on the ground, the husband picks up a giant rock, brings it over to him. Ethan apologizes to him. He's like, "I'm so sorry." And then the husband crushes Ethan's head with the rock. And so he has succeeded in killing all three of these men. And you feel bad for Ethan because Ethan was a good guy. Of these three men, Ethan was the only one that didn't deserve to die. He just got roped up in a horrible situation, and it cost him. In the present, Diane fights for her life against Jason Voorhees as he swings at her with his machete. She sees the ski pole coming out of Phil's head, so she grabs it, yanks it out, and stabs Jason through the chest with it. Up until this point, I wasn't sure exactly where in the Friday the 13th timeline this took place or what kind of Jason we're dealing with. It's easy to assume that in every comic, Jason Voorhees is zombie Jason, but you never really know for sure. But this is where we get our official confirmation in this book that this is zombie Jason, this is not human Jason, because even though she stabs him through the chest with this ski pole, he still comes back later and chases after her because he can't die, at least not that easily. As she runs away from Jason, she trips over a rock, smacking straight into the ground. She tries to crawl away, but Jason grabs her by the head. She's like, "Let go of me! Who are you? Why are you doing this?" And Jason's just like, as if I'm gonna tell you, I'm just gonna kill you because I do that. That's what I do. I'm Jason Voorhees. I just kill people for no real reason. You had sex and that put you on my list. Oh God, I'm sorry. We never should have come here. This is a bad place. A bad place. A bad place. Diane murmurs as Jason lifts his machete and slashes her throat off panel, killing her. All we get is some blood splashes over the rock nearby. I'm assuming it's the same rock that killed Ethan. There's some symbolism there. And then Jason grabs her body and drags it through the forest to a hole in Crystal Lake, which is frozen over. She drags her body into the hole, and he submerges himself into the lake because I guess that's his home. And we see that in the past, the husband did the same thing. He grabbed the body of his wife, not Ethan. At first when I read this, I thought it was holding the body of Ethan. No, he's holding the body of his wife and his baby as well. And he brings them into the lake with him. And on the final page, we see the body of the husband and his wife and his baby floating underwater, and Jason floating underwater with the body of Diane. And that's the end of the series. The whole parallel idea is really cool. The easy explanation for it is that this is the curse of Crystal Lake. In the previous books, it was established that there was a curse and that it didn't begin with Jason. It began years before that. Probably years before the stuff with Ethan. And that was just the next example of the curse being enacted. That there's always gonna be a psycho killer going around killing people for various reasons. That is the curse of Crystal Lake. Someone being possessed by demons, which then forces them to do horrible things. Now, if we're trying to line this up with the continuity of the Friday the 13th series written by Jimmy Palmiotti, then we would assume that the husband is possessed by the priest who cursed Crystal Lake, because it was established in that series that the priest possesses Jason. So it's cool to see somebody play with the idea of the curse of Crystal Lake and show examples of how it's the same situation, just years apart. That even if Jason Voorhees dies, even if he dies, he's gone forever, something else will take over. Something else, the curse will continue. Somebody else will become a psycho killer. Something else will show up and start killing people. It'll never end. That's the end of Friday the 13th Badlands. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Again, I think a lot of these series suffer from being too short. I think if these series were 3 or 4 issues instead of just being 2, we'd be able to expand on the characters a little bit more, get to know them a little bit more, and the deaths wouldn't feel so rushed. In this one, I feel the deaths suffered from the issues, like from just having 2 issues, because it all happens in 1 issue, so it's very strung together. A couple of the deaths are off panel. Definitely could have done with some more breathing room, but I am happy with what we got. I still prefer this series over the Pamela Voorhees series that I covered previously. Next week, we are covering the final Friday the 13th comic book, which is Friday the 13th, Abuser and the Abused. A one-shot that deals with a woman who is in an abusive relationship. She wants to get revenge on her partner, so she tricks him into coming to Camp Crystal Lake. Cue Jason showing up and torturing the guy. So, I'm gonna have a lot of fun looking at that next week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'm sad that I'm coming to the end of these Friday the 13th books. I wish there were more. It's sad that there hasn't been any of these books since 2008. It's been longer than there's been any movies. As far as I know, Wildstorm and DC still own the rights to publishing Friday the 13th comics. They just haven't. I don't know why. They just haven't published any. Maybe they weren't selling well. Who knows? I think it's about time we had a revival for these comic books. We need another Friday the 13th comic. So come on, DC. Give us another one so I can make some more videos on these. Because I really enjoy reading these. They're a lot of fun. Anyway, I'll see you next week for Friday the 13th, Abuser and the Abused. Have a good one.